So I wanted to go back and pull in the down payment that I kind of skipped over on my video I posted yesterday. The scenario is still the same. We're just going to kind of put together 2 days worth of lessons and how they work together. So the idea is when you're calculating your closing costs, it's based on how much you're actually borrowing, at least the percentage calculation is. So if you make a down payment, you're not borrowing the full amount that the house cost you. So and the idea is like if we $100,000 house and we make a $10,000 down payment, our closing costs are only going to be based off of the $90,000 that we're actually borrowing. So we're going to have to calculate that down payment and subtract it off before we do the part like we did yesterday. So a lot of this is going to stay the same. Just a reminder, it's $2,064, 2064 plus 3.4% of what we're borrowing. That's why we need to calculate that down payment first, because that will adjust and change that closing cost dollar amount. You don't want to pay more money than you have to. Okay, this is the same scenario. So Tricia and Bryce are buying a house, 8% for 25 years, and that has nothing to do with what we're trying to figure out. If we're trying to go back and figure out how much they actually paid for the house and the interest and all that, which we may do, but for right now, that isn't important. So the house is selling for $125,000. They're making a 20% down payment, and they're financing their closing costs. So the first thing we need to do is calculate their down payment and what they need to borrow. So I need to know what 20% of the $125,000 is. Okay, so 20% of the $125,000 is $25,000. That's going to make things a little bit nicer. So they're actually borrowing, subtract that off of the $125,000, they're only borrowing $100,000. I don't know what that's supposed to be. So their closing costs are going to be that $2,064 plus 3.4%, so 0.034 times the $100,000 that they're actually borrowing. So their closing costs are going to be $5,464. So their mortgage is going to be for the amount of, after the down payment, the $100,000, plus the closing costs of $5,464. So it's $105,464. Okay. Calculate the down payment, subtract it off. Calculate the closing costs, add those back on. All right, $100,000 house, 10% down payment. So they're going to finance. It's a lot of zeros. 10% of $100,000 is $10,000. So they are going to borrow $100,000 minus the down payment is $90,000. So the closing costs are going to be $2,064 plus 3.4% of $90,000. That is $5,124. Add that back on to the $90,000. That is $95,124. Okay. We have done all of this before, just kind of pulling a couple of days together. So take your time. Your homework is a sheet, so your answers are going to turn green if they're right. Just take your time.